Three more teens are now charged in the death of Baltimore County Officer Amy Caprio. She was killed in the line of duty on Monday in Perry Hall. Prosecutors say a fourth suspect, 16-year-old Dante Harris, ran down Officer Caprio while the three others burglarized a home. Tonight, WJZ has obtained documents shedding light on the timeline of officers trying to track down Harris, even minutes before Caprio was killed. WJZ's Rick Ritter breaks it all down and has reaction from the city state's attorney, who says the system is broken.
Harris was arrested in December, January, February, and March and was essentially put on house arrest, but then went missing, and officers were unable to find him before Caprio's murder. It's now reignited the debate over Baltimore's juvenile justice system. 16-year-old Dante Harris is no stranger to the juvenile court system, arrested 4 times in just 6 months and detained as recent as April 17th. But despite being taken into custody last month, Harris made his way back onto the streets yet again, only to be pinned with the murder of Officer Caprio.
Did the system not work? It sounds like that it could have worked better in this particular case.
Sources handed over this paperwork to WJZ, showing Harris was put into the community detention program on May 10th. Harris violated that order on May 14th, and attempts to locate him were unsuccessful. On May 15th, a rapid response team tracked Harris down at his home, holding a violation conference. The very next day, attempts to locate Harris were unsuccessful. That's when Juvenile Services requested the court bring Harris in. Harris failed to show up for a May 18th hearing, but his mother did. And instead of possibly issuing a bench warrant, the court postponed the hearing to May 22nd, which never came, with Officer Caprio being murdered just 1 day before. While Juvenile Services said that fell on the courts and state's attorney, Marilyn Mosby says they imposed community detention over her office's objection.
The knowledge, the issuance, the responsibility of monitoring home detention is then on the Department of Juvenile Services.
Chilling documents detail the dialogue between community detention supervisors and Harris's mom, who tried contacting the 16-year-old repeatedly on the morning of Caprio's murder. They placed multiple phone calls to the teen's cell, with the final one coming at 12:36, 1 hour before Caprio was run over and killed. City officials now pointing the finger at one another. Again, a lot of concern tonight over how Harris could be arrested 4 times in just months and end up on the streets again. Back to you.
The Department of Juvenile Services released a statement tonight saying they're surprised by the defensiveness in Mrs. Mosby's recent comments. The statement goes on to say, "We have always maintained and continue to maintain that the state's attorney's office serves an important role in the juvenile justice system." Our coverage continues now with George Solis live with the latest on the court appearances for the 3 other teens charged in the officer's death. George?
Mary, 2 of the teens waived their right to be in court today. A judge ordering they all remain in adult lockup. The 3rd will be in court tomorrow, where a judge will determine where he'll be held until the trial. But even within the same detention center, none of them are allowed to have contact with the accused cop killer, 16-year-old Dante Harris.
4 teenagers, 4 murder charges. Outside Baltimore County District Court Wednesday afternoon, a state prosecutor promised the list of crimes won't end there.
There are going to be more charges once we go to grand jury.
For now, 15-year-old Daryl Ward, 16-year-old Derek Matthews, and 17-year-old Eugene Genius are charged with first-degree murder and first-degree burglary. Investigators say they were absent accomplices to a deadly crime. And now court documents provide a timeline of what led up to an officer's death Monday afternoon. They say the 3 teens were inside a Perry Hall home, robbing the place. While outside, 16-year-old Dante Harris told investigators he drove at Officer Amy Caprio.
They are in for everything that occurs as a result of that burglary, including when their co-defendant is outside running over a police officer and killing her.
Harris already faced a judge Tuesday afternoon on his own charge of first-degree murder, already lawyered up for his next court appearance. Defense attorney Warren Brown.
Most people think that he drove this vehicle out there. He did not. These guys drove. He's in the back seat. They get out. He gets into the front seat. And so if he had stayed in that back seat, none of this would have happened.
His co-counsel sharing this photo of his young client, backpack on and smiling. But prosecutors say with a lengthy criminal history of stealing cars, the teen has been in and out of juvenile programs more than he has classrooms. A judge deciding that for now, Harris will stay in an adult detention center. Tuesday saying that he is, quote, a one-man crime wave, and I think he's dangerous.
Now, court documents released today say Harris gave up the other 3 teenagers who then in turn admitted to investigators to robbing a house while that murder occurred. The oldest of them, the 17-year-old, he's due back in court tomorrow. Live tonight, George Soules reporting for WJZ.
George, thank you. A viewing will be held for Officer Amy Caprio tomorrow at the Shimonik Funeral Home on Bel Air Road from 2 to 5 p.m. and then from 7 to 9 p.m. Drivers should expect some road closures in that area. Then on Friday, Officer Caprio will be laid to rest. Her funeral will take place at 10 a.m. at Mountain Christian Church. She will then be buried at Delaney Valley Memorial Gardens.